Hello and welcome to this week's Rocksmith Developer Stream. I'm your host and the community developer for Rocksmith, Doug Lilly, and I welcome you to today's stream. This day, we are going to look at several songs from John Mellencamp. We're going to give away some prizes, and if you've got questions for us, we're going to try to answer as many of those as we can. Just make sure you mention UB Jurassic in the chat. That is Brian Turner. He is the community manager. He will take your questions throughout the stream and send them on to us. But right now, let's go ahead and take a look at the songs in the John Mellencamp song pack. And we'll be right back to play those right after this.
Checks his back, flexes his thoughts for the moment, scratches his head and does his best James Dean. Well, then there and Diane gotta run off to the city. Diane says, baby, you ain't missing nothing. But Jackie say, oh yeah, life goes on long after the thrill of living is gone. Oh yeah. Gone. Oh, but ain't that America for you and me? Ain't that America something to see, baby? Ain't that America home of the free? Yeah, little pink houses for you and me. Oh, baby, for you and me. Educated in a small town, taught to fear Jesus in a small town. Used to daydream in that small town. Another boring romantic, that's me. But I've seen it all in a small town. Had myself a ball in a small town. Married an LA dollar, brought him to this small town. That small town, just like me. No, I cannot forget where it is that I come from. I cannot forget the people who love me. Yeah, I can be myself here in this small town, and people let me be just what I want to be.
There you have it, 3 songs from John Mellencamp. We're going to play one of them right now, and to do so, I'd like to introduce our first guests of today. Immediately to my left, Andrew Levin.
What up?
How's it going?
Is my mic on?
Yeah, your mic sounds good.
Okay,
Can you not
cool.
hear yourself?
No, but
I
it's
can
cool.
hear you.
Okay, awesome.
Okay.
Cool.
Can you hear Andrew?
I can hear Andrew.
This is Kaiwin, all the way on the end there.
Hello.
Welcome back. It's been a little while.
Thank you. Yes, it has been.
Couple months, 2-3 months,
I
maybe
think
longer.
so. About there. Yeah.
Okay.
Handful.
Well, I'm glad that you're back. And what song you're doing? Small Town, right? Right. So you note tracked this one.
Yep.
I think all 3 of the Mellencamp songs this day, we have the note trackers who note track them here.
I think so.
That's convenient for me. So what's going on? I see you've got a capo. Any funny tunings?
No, just capo.
Capo.
Yeah.
And then the rhythm section, the rhythm path does not have a capo, correct?
I think they both.
Do they both have a capo?
I'd have to.
No. Yeah.
Because it's in the key of B. So I believe it does have a capo.
Does have a capo?
Maybe
Okay.
It's possible that it's on a different fret. I'd have to look at the.
Capo for both. Okay.
Do you know if it's capo at the 4th fret?
David Stevens is checking on it. He's
Yeah.
he might not be able to look it up right now.
Okay. Cool.
No capo on the bass though. because this isn't a Blink-182 song.
They use.
That's the
Oh,
there's,
that's right.
one,
Yeah.
there's one Blink song that uses a capo on the bass. I don't know if I've ever actually done that. I think I played that once. It was weird. The capo didn't want to stay on the bass that I had. So yeah, let's go ahead and get into it. This is Solentine. Anything we should look out for while you're playing?
Do you have anything? Yeah, the one thing I would say is just that there's a lot of movement like within the chords.
Yeah.
You can talk about that a bit more after the song is done.
Sure, that sounds good.
But it looks like there's a lot of movement on the screen, but it's not quite as much as it looks.
Maybe just the getting the strumming patterns down.
Yeah, yeah, but it's not super easy either. So.
Okay. So there's some challenge there, and I do want to point out, since we always mention this whenever we're not showing the entire chart. Today, Kaiwan is playing at 80%. Kaiwan's filling in. You came on board yesterday.
I think so.
So
Sounds
yeah,
about right.
so this is pretty quick. So Kaiwan joined us with 80%. So when you see that, there might be some notes that you say, I hear something that I don't see on the screen. That's why. But let's go ahead and take a look at Small Town. Again, if you have questions, reach out to UB Jurassic in the chat. That is Brian.
I was born in a small town, and I live in a small town. Every day in a small town, oh, small communities. All my friends live in a small town. My parents live in the same small town. My job is a small town, with as little opportunity. Educated in a small town, got to fear Jesus in a small town. Used to daydream in that small town. Another foreign romance gets me. Well, I've seen it all in a small town. Had myself a ball in a small town. Man, an LA dollar brought to this small town. That small town, just like me. Oh, I cannot forget from where it is that I come from. I cannot forget the people who love me. Yeah, I can be myself here in this small town. And people let me be just what I want to be. Got nothing against the big town. Still haven't seen enough to say look who's in the big town. But my bed is in a small town. Oh, that's good enough for me. I was born in a small town, and I can breathe in a small town. Gonna die in a small town. Oh, that's probably where they bury me.
Yeah. So that's Heartland Rock.
Heartland Rock.
Heartland Rock. Very, very sort of. it seems like a very small genre. Like there
Small.
aren't there aren't a lot of artists. I think at least kind of on the global stage with Heartland. Well, Heartland Rock is very much a sort of American creature. I think.
Yeah, I mean
I
globally,
mean,
you can't really make Heartland Rock
right,
unless
right.
you're in the Heartland.
Unless you're in the
Heartland. Yeah.
And I don't know. It seems like most of the people, and I could be wrong, but I feel like a lot of the people who were playing Heartland Rock in the 80s and maybe early 90s have transitioned into sort of like country or country rock. Because the Heartland Rock always had elements of that sort of folk or country.
Except for Springsteen, I wouldn't say he really went more country with
But
it.
he had some folk. Like he's
Yeah, a
he
lot
w-
of-
you know,
yeah.
he was like a modern folk singer.
And I think there has been a little bit of a revival with the Heartland Rock stuff, with bands like My Morning Jacket, and I don't know if you call Fleet Foxes Heartland Rock. They're more folk, but
Sure.
there's certainly a good, or Alabama Shakes. Not that they're really Heartland Rock, but they have some elements.
They've got like a touch of it, like a
Yeah,
vein,
Southern
a vein,
rock
vein
maybe.
of
Yeah,
Heartland
more-
Rock running through it.
Yeah.
Maybe, sure.
Yeah.
Well, thank you both very much for joining us. Did you have? I feel like you had something you wanted to say or ask.
I don't know.
Yeah, no, okay,
Yeah, I
well, let's
don't
get that. All right.
I guess, yeah, do you have any?
No, I'm good. I'm good. We're ready. I'm ready to give away a prize pack. So I want to thank again Andrew and Kywin for joining us and playing some John Mellencamp. Well done. And
Cougar
right now,
Mellencamp.
well, it was so originally he was John Cougar.
Yeah.
Then he was John Cougar Mellencamp.
Now he's John
Now he's John
Mellencamp.
Mellencamp.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've been writing it down as John Cougar Mellencamp. Mellencamp, just because it's fun for me to put
Yeah.
things in quotations.
You know the story behind that?
No, I don't. Tell me.
Oh, you don't? Okay, so I got one
Okay,
thing
yeah.
to contribute. He wanted to go by his name, John Mellencamp, but the record labels were like, nah.
We need an edge.
Yeah, and so they called him Johnny Cougar, and he released the album, and
Yeah.
they didn't. He didn't actually know
Oh, no.
that his name was
Oh,
Johnny
no.
Cougar. Like he thought, like I'm releasing this album under John,
John
Mellencamp. So he released the album. He got the album, and he's like, "Who's Johnny Cougar? What?"
What are they
and
doing? They sing the wrong album?
and
Why
they were
am I
like,
on
"No,
this?"
nobody's gonna remember Mellencamp." So
And here we are.
yeah, here we are.
What, 40 years later? What year is this? Yeah,
Yeah.
about 40 years. Man. All right. Now we're going to give away our first prize pack of the stream. So please listen to what UB Jurassic is telling you in chat. He will give you instructions on how you can win everything that you're about to see on your screen. So enter to win. You will receive 2 sets of strings, 1 6-string set, 1 4-string set, both regular Slinky from Ernie Ball. You're going to get a dozen picks from Ernie Ball plus 3 Spectrum Plectrum picks from us here at Rocksmith. You were going to receive a black Rocksmith guitar strap, a package of Ernie Ball Wonder Wipes to keep your guitar's neck, strings, and body polished. And I believe we haven't used this in a while, but minty fresh. You're also going to receive a peg winder from Ernie Ball. All of that can be yours if you listen to what UB Jurassic is telling you in the chat. You do have to follow the channel to win. And if you win this prize pack, you'll receive a whisper from UB Jurassic asking for your full name, your shipping address, and your telephone number. As always, we need all of that information. And if you are outside of the U.S., please break up your address line by line so that I get the formatting right, because it's different in almost every country, which is inconvenient for me. But we can deal with it if my hand is held throughout the process. Coming up, we're going to have some more music from John Mellencamp, and we're going to have another Ernie Ball prize pack giveaway later on the stream. We're going to give away several copies of this week's DLC on the stream. Again, I want to thank you for joining us today at Ubisoft San Francisco. It is a particularly cold and wet day, a bit gloomy, so it's nice to have something kind of warm and almost folksy, I guess, to keep us going through an otherwise pretty, I don't know, not miserable, but just damp day here in San Francisco. And I'm looking at my next guest, so I want to introduce them now. Once again, to my left, Brian Shu.
Hi, it's me.
Hi, it's you, Brian Shu.
Am I live?
You're
I can't-
live.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I think we're on like a 3-second delay.
Live
enough.
Oh yeah, I can hear myself.
Yeah. And Andrew couldn't hear himself on the mic. That was weird.
Yeah.
But you can hear yourself now. They fixed it, I
barely.
guess.
But
Okay.
it's all good.
Okay. Maybe they'll fix it over the course of the next couple minutes. Francois Luong.
Hello.
Again.
Happy
Hello.
New Year.
Happy New Year to you. You weren't here last week, right? Yeah, you were.
I was.
You were.
Well,
what
I
it?
was.
Two
I was
streams?
in here. I was
You were
downstairs.
down, but you weren't
Yeah.
here on the
Yeah.
stream.
I
So
wasn't
welcome
here.
to your first stream
Thank you.
of 2020, as well as yours. Yeah.
Cool.
Oh yeah, that's right. You were sick last week.
I wasn't here. I was
Do me that.
sick.
Do me to
No,
steal your
don't.
wallet?
No, I just no.
Okay. So
Leave that there.
you two are playing Pink Houses, and
Yeah.
I see no basses here. So we've got lead and rhythm.
We did not coordinate the guitars.
That's fine.
Yeah,
That's fine. You,
and we dislike bass players. So
oh, that's not true.
No,
That's
we don't.
um,
They're all gonna come after me.
It's
now.
watch the chat. R.I.P. bass. Okay, that is a
I
look
love
at that
bass.
pretty blue guitar. Says Biscobid.
What about the beautiful black guitar?
This is also blue.
No, it's not.
I lied.
It's not blue. Pink Houses.
Just wait
so
until I Photoshop it to blue.
Do you think this pink house is in a small town?
it probably.
Oh, okay.
Probably. So you're an Open G, is that correct?
Yeah. So it's a open G tuning with a D on the bottom. So the fifth gives you a nice
Okay.
fat sound.
Okay.
It's really nice.
Give it one more strum now that we've got audio.
I can put my mic next to it.
Oh, you're clipping. You're clipping. That's we're getting yelled at from the board.
Hey, that's all. It's all analog sound. Anyways, yeah, it's real nice. You can basically just play chords by just like putting one finger on. You can basically do the Michelangelo thing where you get.
Is that what you
G to-
recommend for playing this
Yeah,
one?
if you want to rock out,
Yeah,
you
if
could
you wanna
probably
do it
like
right.
you could probably
Yeah.
be just like doing a ton of guitar tricks, like spinning the guitar around your body and like
Urban tunings are your friends.
I don't know,
Uh,
whatever makes playing it more fun and interesting to you.
And Francois, you're in regular
E standard.
E standard. Yeah, just plain old E standard. And bass is
Whatever.
also in E standard for this one, right? If you remember,
Probably.
probably. So what are we looking at, chart wise?
It's just mostly strummy stuff.
And is the rhythm mirroring a lot of the lead, or are we doing different
I
voicings?
don't remember.
I mean, we must be
I-
doing different voicings since there's
I
no
also
capo on it.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
I
not
don't quite
RPG.
remember. I just kind of did the leveling for this.
Okay,
so
okay.
I
We'll see.
actually,
So
I
we'll
don't
find out
really
together
remember.
what the lead and the rhythm look
Forgot
like.
who did this.
So let's go ahead and take a look at Pink Houses by John Mellencamp.
Should I use this whammy bar?
Yeah,
a
as
lot?
much as you want,
Oh God.
but not that way.
Yeah,
better
it's
hurry.
stuck.
You're just
Let
making
me
all
get it.
kinds of
Let
all
me
kinds
get
of
it
noise.
into whammy
Whammy
position. I might be kind of-
Black man with a black cat, little blind
Yeah, see, I have to do a lot less work than.
in the state from
The cool thing,
got it so good.
I can whammy and strum at the same time.
There's a woman in the kitchen.
But is that what you want to do?
I mean, guitar's supposed to be fun, so yeah.
Hey, darling, I can remember when you could stop and fly. Oh, but ain't that a paradise? You and me, ain't that a paradise? Something to see, baby, ain't that a paradise? Home on the free, yeah. Little pink houses for you and me. Yeah, you and me.
say that riff on this open series is particularly fun.
There. So,
Man, these
surprise
Squire whammies are just like.
So if we can get a little bit more volume for your guitar, you were talking about the riff, playing that. Is it the?
Yeah, yeah.
So
Because it's just really simple.
Yeah.
Like you know, you just have to worry about that.
string skipping,
Yeah, you don't even have to be particularly accurate with
because
like,
it's all going to sound.
because it's
okay.
since it's a G, the whole thing is basically a G chord. You just have to like kind of strum it. You know.
Whereas on the rhythm has that riff a couple times, and it looks a bit more.
It's a bit more involved, yes.
Yeah.
You have to be a bit more accurate.
Yeah.
Because otherwise
Yeah.
it's just going to be E standard open strings, which isn't going to sound great.
Which isn't bad.
Hey, it
but
might be fine.
Yeah.
For this.
Oh, okay, yeah.
What were we going to say?
Oh, I was just gonna have a teaching moment
Oh,
for
please,
a second.
please, yeah.
So, so for this song, it's like, or in songs like this where you're doing a lot of strummy stuff, you can just kind of alternate strum, I guess, but it kind of, it makes it a little bit harder to lock into the groove and time. So you know, the main strumming pattern is something like this, right?
Yep.
So what you kind of want to get used to is like, you know, down strumming on the big down beats and up strumming on the up beats.
Yep.
Even if that means doing two up strokes in a row. So like, for example, the second half of it is so the first part's. So on that part, I'm doing two upstrokes in a row.
Yeah.
Instead of doing something like this. Because then my
Which can get you
downbeats gets flipped around, and then it just kind of becomes really awkward for the hand to like kind of play in time. So something that you kind of want to look out for when playing songs like this.
Yeah,
and
that's something I also had problem with in the really strumming part. In that, to be a triplet, and then I'd have really quickly to go down again.
Right.
Instead of
it actually really helps for so when you start getting into like even faster strumming patterns, let's say something like funk music, it really helps you kind of lock in to the correct kind of the downbeats and the upbeats. Otherwise, you're just kind of flipping your technique all the time, and you're starting phrases like on upstrokes and downstrokes, where a lot of the times you kind of want to start like, you know, hard downbeats with downstrokes. And
so is that way? Like, if you're playing a lot of like funk or ska, where it's very syncopated, you're doing just a lot of up strums, right?
Yeah, for the syncopated parts.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you're playing on the offbeats, it's always going to be upstrokes. So like, you know, when you're playing ska, for example, right? You're always going to fret hand mute the downstrokes and then kind of strum on the upstrokes. You're not going to do that's really hard. That's really freaking hard. Like you, like even me tapping my foot, it immediately puts me off time because I'm kind of just it's going against. It's going against the natural laws of like how my body wants to move.
So would you say that this is a good chart to get that that rhythmic?
Yeah, just to kind of practice your strumming and being very conscious of that, because that strumming pattern, although it's a little bit. He changes it up here and there. It's not written like ultra consistently. You can definitely keep that in mind and try to on the downbeats, you know.
Yeah.
Like do
Send it along.
downstrokes. Yeah.
Okay.
Because it makes doing fast strummy stuff a lot easier too. Like a lot of the like. Right, like that kind of stuff is really hard if you're starting on an upstroke.
Yeah.
Like I don't know how I would do that starting on an upstroke. Like, see, like I lost my pick. It's really hard to do.
And coming like as a primarily a bassist, it's just, you know, I'm constantly alternating fingers, so I don't have like I'm not always hitting the downbeat with my middle finger. Say, it's just whatever's next is what I switch to. So that I don't have that sort of rhythmic alteration, that like steady alteration on the downbeat kind of built into me.
I don't know. Whenever I'm playing the bass, I usually use for the downbeat, use my index finger, and then for the upbeat. So I don't know. I have that.
I don't know enough about bass technique.
I tend to just start with my middle finger, and then I just alternate, regardless of what the rhythm is.
Oh, you start with the middle finger.
Yeah.
If you're picking bass, though, if you're playing, it's very similar to guitar. So
we keep that kind of down up rhythm going
for the most part.
Right. There's going to be exceptions.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you again very much for coming and playing. Right now,
unless you're Tom DeLonge, then downstroke everything, or or the guys in
the guys in
a lot of punk
or thrash metal.
Just all downstrokes, never upstrokes. We are going to do two things right now. First. He's been cut off. First, we're going to watch a brief video. Speaking of teachable moments, which thank you for your teaching moment here, we're going to take a look at a video about Guitarcade and the various skill challenges that you can do within Guitarcade. While that's going on, Brian Turner, a.k.a. UB Jurassic, is going to give away 5 copies of this week's DLC on Steam. So if you want to win one of 5 John Mellencamp song packs on Steam, please listen to UB Jurassic in the chat, and he will tell you how you can win. And we'll be back in just a few more minutes with more music.
More music.
In Rocksmith 2014, we've got 11 new Guitarcade games. Guitarcade is the area of Rocksmith where you can learn new skills such as, bends, slides, tremolos, chords, and all that, and brush up on your techniques in a less formal, less structured environment. Ducks Redux is the Ducks game that we always wanted to make. It's probably the first one you played in Rocksmith 1, and it's really simple. You're moving up and down the fretboard. Last time we were limited to just the top string, and now as you progress, you'll get to do it on every string on the guitar. Scale Racer is an 80s style arcade racer where you're learning guitar scales. You're on the run from the cops. And as you play the scales up and down the guitar neck, you go faster and faster to get away from the cops. You can either play the next note early for more bonus points, or wait until just the last second to crash the cop car that's chasing you into the oncoming traffic. It's light years beyond anything we did in Rocksmith 1. Gone Whalin' is another one of the all-new mini games we've added to Guitarcade for Rocksmith 2014. Gone Whalin's all about dynamics, and the louder you play, the higher the guy goes. The softer you play, the lower he goes. A lot of beginners just play as loud as they can, and the true masters, the guys who really know what they're doing with the guitar, they know it's all about your fingertips. It's all about your touch and how soft you can play. Gone Whalin' helps you learn that. The most popular Guitarcade game in Rocksmith 1 was Dawn of the Chorded, where you learned chord shapes and shot up approaching hordes of little zombies. So Return to Castle Chorded has more zombies, more chords, more everything. There's boss battles, there's cutscenes, there's a great tongue-in-cheek story. It's in every way a nod to 90s, rail shooters. One of the things that people loved about Guitarcade before was that we had leaderboards for every game. You could check your high score against the world. We've kept that, but we've made it better. Instead of just passively checking your position on the leaderboard against the rest of the world, Rocksmith actually looks at where you are on the leaderboard and sends challenges your way. The leaderboard challenges provide never-ending motivation to keep getting better at the games themselves, but then also at guitar. When we shipped Rocksmith 1, everyone said that it was a classic rhythm game, but with a real guitar. That wasn't necessarily the case. It's a great learning tool. In Rocksmith 2014, we've made the learning better, but we've also added Score Attack, which is essentially a classic rhythm game, but with a real guitar. It's all the stuff that you expect: locked difficulty, head-to-head battles, duets. Everything is just so much better. The learning is better, it's more fun. It really is just another thing that makes Rocksmith 2014 the best way to learn guitar.
And welcome back to this week's Rocksmith Developer Stream. I remain your host and community developer, Doug Lilly. To my right, the wonderful Anthony Martinez. Hello.
Hello.
Welcome back.
Thanks for such the kind intro.
Oh, absolutely. So this is this your first time? Were you here last? No, you weren't here last week.
No.
So this is your first time back in a while.
Yeah, in about 6 weeks.
6 weeks.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad to have you.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Happy to be here.
So we were looking at bonus songs for this stream for the John Mellencamp song pack, and I think I decided that probably the best artist we could use for this that we have in the library would be Tom Petty, but we played some Tom Petty last week with Chris Stapleton, so we went in a slightly different direction, and I think, did you make the final decision on what we do as bonus track? I had some options that I presented.
Yeah, one of those options was Long Train Runnin'.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, well, if we're going to do Doobie, let's go with China Grove.
Okay. And I was like,
that was one that I had no
okay.
track.
Right. Okay. So you have no track this, so you can speak from a position of authority here, unlike. Actually, you can probably speak with a position of authority on most things in this the studio. Anthony Martinez, you are the manager of musical content.
That's correct.
Correct. So when you were a note tracker, so how long ago did this song come out? China Grove by the Doobie Brothers.
Man,
this was a bit ago.
that was years ago.
It was before my time. It was before I was on.
Yeah, it was. This is a drawn out.
Just
yeah, I
it's
don't
been a
know.
while. We'll just say a while.
Yeah, it's been years.
And so do you remember everything about it?
Yeah, for the most part. I mean, the bass line is
Bass line is
fantastic.
a
It's
lot of fun.
involved.
Yeah.
It's pretty.
Yeah, there's some rhythmic stuff that I had to work on a little bit.
It's
and it might still mess up a little bit.
I'm sure it's going to sound great, especially on that bass.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember the bass part being more involved than I thought it was when I first listened to the song several years ago. But that's one of the fun things about note tracking. You really tap into the mix, and you find those little Easter eggs.
Yeah. This is a really fun one.
Yeah, in the form of an
so
awesome bass line.
So is the other Doobie Brothers tune.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Both of those really fun on bass.
That one's fantastic too.
Yeah.
The guitar part is iconic with that really cool intro with distorted delay. And then a really nice solo. I mean, this song has it all. A really cool bass line, a lot of different guitar riffs because there are a lot of different parts in this song, including a really fun bridge section that eventually leads to that solo. And then short outro. But I'm looking forward to playing it.
All right, well, let's. Why delay any longer? Again, if you have any questions, make sure you ask UB Jurassic in the chat.
There's some delay for you.
Oh, yeah. I'm just having fun. About ready to take us home?
Nice.
Yeah, that's a lot of fun. That is
A lot of
that's
fun.
a lot of fun. I don't really know what's going on in the lead part. I was very focused on what I was doing. So what's going on here? in the lead?
Oh man, it's a
Walk me
lot
through.
of really good stuff. We could probably have an encore stream about all of
Just
this.
this song?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, give me your highlights.
So you have this really nice power chord riff that's played throughout the verses, and it's the one that you hear in the intro. Just walking down, so you have an E5 here, your D5, C#5 to A5. That's sort of like your bread and butter for this song. And within that power chord riff, you have some single note licks. And a lot of what makes this riff cool is the fret hand mutes and the open strings that flash in between the fret hand mutes and the chord progression. So you get this really cool. And there's that little single note lick in between.
It's almost like playing those notes without actually playing them. Like those notes are just sort of sounding Is that?
Yeah. It's I do think I mean it sounds intentional. I don't think they're incidental.
They could have prevented those notes.
Oh,
from
for
ringing
sure.
out
Yeah,
if they wanted to.
Yeah,
but they let
yeah.
them ring.
Right.
Which yeah. So that's it's being played, just being played kind of passively, I guess, with intent, but without.
Right. Yeah. It's not
Played
like
by
super clean. To no fault of theirs.
It
was
doesn't
done
have to be super clean.
Right.
Yeah, they're not that kind of band.
Right. But there are a lot of really cool hammer-ons, like nice ornamentation, especially when you get to this C-sharp minor chord. There is a lot of, lickage like that.
Yeah, that's a nice.
It's pretty cool. And so sometimes they might have a double stop hammer-on figure and pull off, and sometimes it'll just be a single note. But it's sort of a nice way to dress a chord that you're sitting on. And they do that throughout this song. A lot of fun ornamentation around pretty classic chord progression. The thing that always gets me every time, and this is sort of like during, it's almost like a pre-chorus section where you have, it's this fast, A7 walk up. So you're just playing 7 chords from A7 up to C7, walking up chromatically, going up each fret. And I had forgotten about that. When I was practicing this, I was like, oh man, okay. Guess what I did? I went into riff repeater.
Look at that. That's how I worked on that rhythm. I just dropped it down to about 80% speed and watched the notes. Yeah. And I think I got it.
Oh yeah, it sounded great.
Yeah.
Man.
Thank you. Well, thank you, Anthony, for joining us on this stream.
Thanks for having me.
Right now, should we either? There are two things. We have two options. I'll present these options to you, and hopefully you'll choose correctly. One, we can rifle through Brian Chu's wallet that he left up here. Or two, we can look at some songs that you might like if you were into this week's song pack. No. There's no. The people behind the camera don't get to choose. It's up to you, Anthony.
I'm going to protect Brian Chu's privacy.
I think,
and select door number 2. Let's go with the "In Case You Missed It" card.
I think you made the right choice, Anthony. Thank you very much. In case you missed it, if you enjoyed this week's John Mellencamp song pack, as I mentioned earlier, I thought that one of the best options we could have had to use for this as a bonus track would be the Tom Petty song pack. But since I kind of used that last week with Brian Turner, who was in town visiting us, through no fault of his own, I'm not blaming him for anything. It was my decision to use Tom Petty last week. But we can use him here for In Case You Missed It. So if you're into the sort of Heartland sound, the Tom Petty song pack includes Free Fallin', I Won't Back Down, American Girl, and Learning to Fly, and Refugee. All those available in the Tom Petty song pack that came out back in 2014. There are another couple of Tom Petty and the Heartbreaker songs in Rocksmith that aren't in that song pack. One was on disc for Rocksmith 1. That was good enough. And then on disc for Rocksmith 2014, Mary Jane's Last Dance. So all those songs are available in Rocksmith. Also, another sort of southern-infused rock group that might be in the same milieu as John Mellencamp would be the 38 Special song pack. That includes Caught Up in You, Hold On Loosely, and Rockin' Into the Night. All of those released together back in 2016. We are almost ready to say hello to our final guests of the day to play the final song of the day. But I think they might have to tune still. Is that true? Do they still have to tune? They do. They could probably skip it. But we're going to talk in the meantime. So I've heard around the internet, so a lot of people very happy about the John Mellencamp song pack. But there are some songs that, it was a 3-song pack, so we obviously couldn't include the entire discography. There are some songs that some people think are definitely missing. And if you want to let us know which songs you think are missing, the best way to do that is to go to rocksmith.com and click on Request a Song and let us know which John Mellencamp or any other songs you'd like to hear in Rocksmith. That is the only way that we actually read what songs are being recommended to us. We we don't really take note or track any of the recommendations on Facebook or Twitter or the like. So that is the best way to get your suggestions to us. So thank you. And I want to say hello to our final guests of the day. To my left, Greg Studley.
What's up?
I didn't draw a blank when I almost said your name. I felt the reaction when I just sort of.
I figured if I wasn't looking at you, it would throw you. It did throw you a little bit. That was good.
Greg Studley, Dan Emmerich, welcome.
Everything's so final. Our final guests of the final song for the final.
Yeah.
Like, well, man, it's like the rain. It turns you back into a goth.
Yeah, well, look, I've walked. I had my 20-minute walk in the rain. I had 2 hoods on.
Okay,
I was
Eminem.
bundled in a coat, so it was very, very sort of focused.
I like that you're a reformed goth, where now you just wear shades of gray.
Great, yeah. Well, that's
Yeah.
because I moved. That's because I lived in South Carolina for a while, and it was real hot. So I had to I stopped wearing all my black
it's-
clothes and went gray.
It's not a dry heat either.
It is not a
It
dry
is
heat.
not a dry heat.
Yeah, I'm starting actually to pick up more black clothes again because it's cooler here.
Yeah.
Temperature-wise,
And
well,
you know, vibe-wise,
Oh,
too.
well,
Definitely cooler.
it's closer
California,
to Vine Vibe,
man.
I would say. I don't want to say because there's some
I
cool
do.
people. I know some cool people in South Carolina. I know some cool people from South Carolina.
Dan Nixon does not count as cool people from North Carolina. I'm sorry.
Oh, I love that he thought I was talking about somebody else.
That was funny.
That is
Yeah.
funny. Greg's cool.
Are you from South Carolina? North Carolina?
Partially.
Are you from
I
Mid Carolina?
I grew up in New York, but I went to high school there.
Oh. Well,
So
all right.
there,
Yeah. There's
a
always
few,
an outlier.
A few years
Yeah.
there. Yeah.
Always an outlier.
I do not miss the humidity, as
No, hell
as
no.
Doug was just speaking of.
Do
Yeah.
miss the barbecue.
Yeah, we do
We were
talk
talking-
about that
we've-
barbecue.
We've actually the barbecue.
Oh
has been,
yeah.
It has been the topic
It's
lately.
been brought up like 5 or 6 times. I don't know.
We
If,
gotta
I
eat
don't know if BBQ. I don't know if BBQ Kyle is in the barbecue Kyle. BBQ Kyle, one of the Rocksmith streamers. Oftentimes he's here in the chat. If he is, or he isn't, you can check him out. Just BBQ.
Hi, BBQ Kyle.
Hello, if you're here. But I do wonder what his. Because he barbecues, like that's not just his name.
That's nice.
That's another.
It's a calling.
interest in how- yeah,
It's a vocation.
so I wonder. I do wonder what that sauce is, or if it's a dry rub. I don't know where he's from.
He's from Florida, I believe.
Florida. I don't. Florida doesn't have a. Does Florida have a specific?
A specific barbecue,
barbecue?
flavor or like a technique? I don't know.
I think
crocodile.
I think most states actually have their signature.
Alligator. Sorry. What country?
I'm not following that up.
Sure. I will. I had alligator when I was in the Carolinas.
Yeah.
And it's not nearly. They're not nearly as.
As a pet?
No. Like as a meal.
Oh God!
Yeah, I
You
don't
ate your pets?
No,
I was
I
going
didn't
to say
have it as a
actually a
pet.
little of both. Yeah.
Yeah. Jeez
You
Louise.
can get alligator, like fairs and stuff. Alligator. I had.
You just have to be real polite.
alligator fritters.
Alligator
fun.
fritters.
Yeah.
That's uncannily. That's the name of my new band. Alligator
Ooh,
fritters.
I do like that.
I had a good one.
Hashtag
yeah.
alligator fritters.
My band name, Dead Mechanics.
Dead Mechanics. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
It's because we were talking about Dungeons and Dragons, and I was talking about an earlier edition that had Dead Mechanics.
Dead
that aren't
Mechanics.
used currently. Anyway, South Carolina barbecue. What are we talking about? What's going on? John Mellencamp.
We were here
Yeah,
for music
know
once
it's
upon
I'm
a
really
time.
curious how you're going to steer this back.
We
Yeah.
still have 10 minutes before we hit an hour, so I figured I'd just sort of riff for a bit. Yeah, John Mellencamp. So you were a note tracker for our final song, Jack and Diane.
Yes.
What do we got?
Studley and Dan.
Studley and Dan.
Little ditty about Studley and Dan.
So
Did you practice this?
No, not really. I mean, he mentioned it,
I did mention it.
Maybe I
yeah.
should have.
but we didn't actually. We did have somebody in the chat. Lord, I cannot remember. Lord W. Lord W said, "You gotta let people sing. People look like they wanted to sing on the first song, especially. People look like they want to sing."
Yeah.
And I said, it's not feasible to have a sing. We literally are outside of an open office of 50 to 60 creative professionals who are either in their creative zone and or on conference calls doing meetings. And it's just, we're not. And they're like, well, just soundproof the room. And I'm like, yeah, we've talked about that. We have tried to find ways that maybe we could let people sing now and again. But I'm sorry, it's just not feasible right now. We don't.
Right this moment.
We can't reconfigure the room the way that we would need to and all that stuff.
So I will say most of the our coworkers who are in like adjacent to us currently aren't necessarily the people that we interact with regularly enough that we could say, hey, we're gonna sing. It's
Just
gonna
so
be a
you
little
know.
noisy for the next hour.
We did it when Kate and Kate
right.
and Ashley, Kate and Audrey were here. When Audrey and Kate
It's
were
not
here,
just me.
because we said, you know, like I did send, and there were different people here in that space at the time.
Yeah.
That was the other staff that since moved to the other building, and I just said, I want you to know that, you know, we're going to have a 5-year-old come in, and her vocal style is literally screaming at the top of her lungs. So I apologize for the interruptions, but this is a really big stream for us, and we're very honored to have them. So please put up with it. And people were like, by the end of the hour, they were like, "Okay, the novelty has worn off. I am on the phone with France." You know, so it was really fun.
France does not care for this.
No,
Okay.
not at all.
So
He
you
note-tracked
this
it.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what are we looking at? Jack and Diane. Little ditty
So
about them.
Yeah, so the cool thing is with this that it does give you some nice ways that you could take what is a simple chord progression and apply it to 2 different spots on the neck, as if, like, you know, you're playing with a friend or something, and you're like, hey, we got this, you know, song I'm writing, and it goes like this, and a lot of times people are going to just double apart and go, oh, well, I'll play it the way you're playing it. But this actually shows...
You don't do that. Not pros don't do it that way, right?
Thank you.
Yeah.
But the cool thing is that it shows you that you can take an idea like that's played sometimes with open chords and move it into like movable triad shapes on the neck, and it actually widens the sound that you're doing, so it actually makes it a lot more interesting to listen to as well.
So it's kind of like it's a voicing that requires 2 guitars.
Mm-hmm.
Right on, man.
Sure. Or just arrangement. Either one of those works. Does this have any funny tunings? Bass is in drop D, not playing the bass. So this song has when I played tuba, whenever I would do orchestral
here he
music.
goes again.
Here
Back
goes
to
the tuba stories again.
Oh,
never
gosh.
ends around
We have
here.
time for a tuba story, man?
So I didn't do orchestra a lot with tuba. It was mostly just, you know, wind ensemble band stuff. Yeah,
you just
could
played tuba for fun,
tuba
like
for fun.
in pickup bands or open mic nights.
We call them chamber ensembles.
Open mic nights.
He had a regular gig at the, you know, gas station.
Right.
I don't get it.
I don't know.
Ding ding.
Where else would you? Where else would one? Where else could a tuba player get hired? Is I think the insult there.
Oh, okay.
You couldn't play in a real club,
see.
but you could like do, you know, like
I could do some
for
Dixieland
spare
stuff.
change outside.
Look,
Oh, that's
there's
true.
options.
You could
There's
do
options.
Dixieland, especially
Yeah.
where you were from.
Oh,
that's
yeah.
true.
Yeah.
All right,
I
fair
have
enough.
sousaphone and everything.
And then everybody would be like, "Why aren't
but-
you playing a trombone?"
So it's a completely different thing. Tuba parts in most of what I played in orchestra, it would be like 98 measures of rest, and then 2 measures of the most insane tuba music I've ever played, and then another 103 measures of rest, and that was like every song. And I think that's pretty close to what we've got here. Nobody's playing bass
For the
on
bass
this.
The
part?
bass
So the
line
bass
is
line-
sparse.
It is
let's,
sparse,
Let's be
but
polite
when
and
it's
call
here-
it sparse.
But when you play, like the part you actually do play is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
It's
You'll,
just,
you'll listen for
it's
it
just
about
one little
2/3
pocket
of the way.
the song. Yeah, but when it's there, it's like, oh, that's a really cool line, but then it's
Yeah.
gone again.
Yeah, so you
So-
just keep playing that. I mean, this might be a good one that you could just sort of, because you're always shown between the anchor zone and the string that's highlighted, you're kind of shown where to start if you wanted to improvise, if you wanted to ad lib. So this is one, if you're a bassist and you don't want to just wait for most of the song to come in, you can play around.
Yeah.
Just do some improv.
Improvise with what?
You could use some knowledge.
Yeah.
Knowledge?
That'd be
Yeah,
Knowledge
you
is
could
good.
improvise with knowledge.
Yeah, that
Knowledge
would be
is
good.
Okay.
Available now at Amazon.
But these are
you,
are
Dave.
both tuned together, wide voicing between the two. Rhythmically, are they pretty much synced up?
A lot of the time. Not all of them.
Let's
but a lot.
find out if they are, because I don't know.
We haven't
by
played
the
it yet,
chart.
so I don't
Okay,
know.
Well, let's find out right now. This is Jack and Diane by John Mellencamp. I want to say John Cougar Mellencamp every time, and that's what trips me up. I am a child of the 80s.
Sorry, that was me.
Those are your notes, man. Dan.
Here it is.
I've waited all day to do that. Dan.
Thanks.
Dan.
Somebody's clipping a little bit.
That's me, because I've got active pickups.
Dan.
I'll trim down a little bit.
Dan.
Damn it.
Little ditty about Jack and Diane, 2 American kids growing up in the heartland. Jack is gonna be a football star. Diane's debutante backseat of Jackie's car.
This part's cool. It's got a chord shape moving around. Sliding it up here.
Sucking on chili dog outside the taste free. got his hands between his knees. Jackie say, hey Diane, let's run off behind the shady trees. Dribble off those Bobby Brooks, let me do what I please. Say, oh yeah, life goes on long after the thrill of living is gone. Say, oh yeah, life goes on long after the thrill of living is gone.
Why don't you take the low part, Dan?
Thank you, because it's all I know how to play.
To Dan. Dan. It actually sounds kind of cool if you double that part here.
Oh, yeah.
Jackie sits back,
You just can't let me have my moment in the sun, can you? You have to step on my part.
his head and does his best James Dean.
Well, since I'm playing it wrong, it's probably better.
I'm just showing the concept of layers.
Diane says, baby, you ain't
With
me.
gentle
But
correction.
you're probably asking me to lay my guitar down, so.
No.
Life goes on long after
As a rhythm guitarist, I'm used to using lead guitar stepping all over us anyway. It's fine.
And as a lead guitarist, I'm used to stepping on rhythm guitars, so.
long after the thrill
I don't really mean that.
It's funny because it's true.
I messed up as soon as it. That was karma.
Well,
immediate.
get in the pit with me, man. I've been messing up this whole time. I needed more practice on
These
this.
drums should be bigger, shouldn't they?
No, they can't possibly be bigger. 80s gates.
Come and save my soul. Hold on to 16 as long as you can. Changes come around real soon, make us women and men.
We haven't rehearsed this at all, if you can believe that. All right, stop this. I have to play guitar now.
Oh yeah, life goes on long after the thrill of living is gone. Oh yeah, they say life goes on long after the thrill of living is gone. A little ditty about Jack and Diane.
That was me.
American kids done the best they can.
Wrong one.
That was a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun watching you play that and clapping along with you. That was very well done. Thank you. both
thank
for
you.
playing.
That was an entertaining one.
I accidentally came across part of that riff on the couch when I was just noodling on the couch. I noodle on the couch a lot.
Okay,
And
I see that.
I happened, I was playing some bar chords, and that little the movable chord shape,
Sliding.
that was fun. And I was like, oh, that's from Jack and Diane. Oh, well, sometimes that happens. So when you said, oh, it would be really good to show the two guitar parts on this one, I'm like, well, yeah, I already know half the song.
Exactly.
And then I saw how many specifics I did not know,
Oh, yeah.
and how many different ways it can go wrong. One of the ones you actually heard me do it. You're supposed to play
The D.
the
yeah.
D,
Yeah.
not the G, not next door. And when you're playing these little partial chords in the top three, then you don't play the D string.
Oh. Correct.
And I
Oh.
kept doing that and slamming into it. So you can really, this is a very specific and sparsely voiced song. And if you overplay it, you ruin the whole thing like I just did. So don't do that. Do be careful that you're being specific, that you're only hitting that D string when you get that little riff, because it's distinctive. And everybody goes like, oh, like they smelled something terrible if you do either one of those things wrong. If you overplay those partial chords or you don't hit the right single
See,
string.
I like that sort of thing. I think there was one of the first streams
You just
I
like
was
to
here.
watch the world
I
burn.
do. No, I think I was playing a song with David Stevens pretty early on once I got out here, and I think he can correct me if he remembers this at all, but I think you added like an extra fourth in something that we were playing, and it sounded rad, and I liked it more than whatever the original song was.
David improved it.
Yeah. Thanks, David. I have a few questions. I
All
kind of
right.
neglected the questions. I told everybody to send questions in,
All
and
right.
I forgot to look at them until just now. So, got a few, but I have some great people to answer them.
Well, you have-
Except for the one that was specifically for Shu. So I'll skip that one. So regarding the term Heartland Rock or Heartland Rock, we're talking about Tom Petty. Does Tom Petty qualify as Heartland Rock, even though he's from Gainesville?
I think so, because again, Florida is sort of like Midwest South in a lot of ways, right? Like, yeah, absolutely. I think that like you could have done a Tom Petty song instead of China Grove, and it would have been totally in this vibe because it's about steady rhythm on acoustics, and generally the topics are sort of like human nature stuff. You know,
yeah.
Like the songs are more about people.
Yeah, yep. That sounds right to me. What did you have a?
Yeah, what he
you
said.
Just, you just agree. Okay. At what point?
That is what he said.
And that question was from Jean 308. Thank you, John.
Hi, John.
Tonewood wants to know. At what point do the note trackers say it's not worth making an X chart for this song because it's not that noticeable? So,
good question.
That's a fair question. So, at what point does it not? Do we make the decision that it's not worth
having an actual
having a
chart?
part because it wouldn't be noticeable enough in the arrangement or in the audio, I guess?
Yeah.
I mean, you can't really. That's hard to quantify, but certainly what it always comes down to is somebody going to want to play this? Is someone going to hear this part and want to play it? Because that's our job.
Right.
Is to
make
notate the parts that you want to play and give them to you. That is our job.
So I feel like this most often happens when you're deciding whether or not to do an alternate arrangement.
A keyboard line
like
or
an
a
alt
flute
lead.
line or something like
Yeah.
that. Like
or like a harmony.
one of the rules of thumb that I've heard around the office is, can you hum it? Is that what you hum? If you're in the car or you're in the shower or whatever, and you're humming along or singing along with a song, would you sing along to that line? If so, it should probably be notated. I think in the case of this, where we're talking about a very sparse bass line, we would always do the bass because bass is part of our core DNA, and we would never want to ignore that. In fact, you guys have created bass lines where there were no bass lines so that the bassist would be able to have fun and play the song the way that, in a fun way. I don't think they would ever go, that bass line is too slight, we're not going to bother to translate the bass line.
Right.
But I think that judgment call is more often on unusual instruments, saxophone or something like that. You know, like if we did Careless Whisper by Wham, right? You would want to play that ridiculous sax line. That's the definitive riff from the song. So of course you would do that, but like a sax might just be like punctuation in something else, like in a Huey Lewis song. And
Well, we
you might
do
not
have we do have the Seether version where it's played on guitar.
That's true. Perfect. Thank you. I had forgotten that we had the Seether version.
Seether managed to demonstrate your point exactly.
Thank you, Seether.
Thank you, Seether. Next question.
There are also guitar parts, though. We should just to verify to answer the question is like there are some times when music gets really really dense. Sometimes for like one phrase, there is an extra guitar part in there.
Yeah.
But we think about it from the player's point of view, which is, okay, well, what if we wanted to throw that part in there that just adds the density? It's not totally audible, but it is there. And we can pick it out if we need to. But the funny thing is, if you were to play that arrangement, that would be the only unique thing you would play in that entire arrangement.
Right.
And if it's not going to poke out of the mix that much, I think that's sometimes what we have to kind of make the decision.
Don't
on.
bother with that. Don't make people fret over these two arrangements and see what is the difference between these two. That was unintentional. It's where because I have seen occasionally someone will ask what is the difference between this arrangement, this lead arrangement, and this alt lead arrangement. I can't find the distinction, and it's usually
Sometimes
it's like a harmony.
One little
like,
harmony
like
riff
there's
or
like a
one
phrase
little
that has-
distinctive riff. We're like, well, somebody's going to be disappointed if this isn't it.
And if it's audible enough, then it totally is worth throwing in there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a great answer. Another question from Tonewood. Tone wants to know why we didn't get Hurt So Good. Wondering if this was maybe another Love is a Battlefield question. This probably would have been a good question for Anthony.
Well, Anthony certainly, he's on the hook for any mistakes.
Yes,
that
it's
are
probably
made
asked
with
why
music
Anthony's
license.
here.
No, what in general, when we request songs from an artist, we'll request a batch. Like if we only release 3, we might have asked for 7, and maybe only 3 cleared.
Yeah.
And occasionally you've seen things where we've done a 3-pack, and then like a couple of months later, you'll see another one join in a variety pack or in a decades pack or something like that because we got 4. So we never know what they're going to do or not. So we give them a lot of options. Sometimes we get them all. Sometimes we only get a handful. So it's not that we didn't ask for Hurt So Good. It's that we just don't currently have the license for Hurt So Good.
Yeah.
Or we have the license for Hurt So Good and we're saving it for a decades pack. I mean, it could be anything.
Sure.
So it's not. It's just sort of what are the 3 first songs, or what are the 3 best songs that fit together in a pack when we have more options. But it's not like please don't think that it's, well, you hate my favorite song, or how could you not do that song? Sometimes we could not do that song because we did not have permission to do that song, even though we asked for the permission. So it's always a crapshoot. Licensing is hard. Ask Toy Machine.
Yeah. Hashtag
licensing is hard.
Pacific Stranded Time wants to know if we discovered any cool things about John while working on this pack. John Mellencamp.
You already told the cool story about his name. And Andrew already told.
That's what I learned.
Go back and watch Andrew's comment on where John Cougar Mellencamp's name evolution came from.
Yeah. Have you learned anything? It's a dangerous question.
Yeah. I'm reaching here. I did actually, and it was just today. I learned that Dan came out with some original music.
Oh, that was the worst segue ever.
Oh, I tried.
But I appreciate it.
All right,
but
I was going
to do it at the end. Do you have any more real questions before we talk about?
I do.
Let's do real questions.
Before we talk about your music, the last question I have, another one from John 308. Question for Greg.
Segue. Yeah, what's up?
Do the concepts in your book apply to other instruments such as piano? So let's plug you again before we get back to Dan.
Yeah, I'm done with that.
Yeah.
So Improvising with Knowledge was actually first written for all instruments.
Oh.
And then I decided to actually rewrite it in a way that was just applicable to guitar. But the answer is yes. What you'll find is that the idea of scales over chords is universal. So you can apply that to whatever instrument you want. Oh, nice pop-up. You can apply it to any instrument you want. And if I remember correctly,
I wish we could make a click thing.
There is all standard treble clef notation in here. So any instrument that you play that you would read treble clef, such as piano,
violin, saxophone, and more. Right?
I think a lot of
By
saxophones
today.
is different.
Any of those, you can use the concepts in there and apply it to your instrument for sure.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Or you could get the bass clef version, which is yet to be released, but I'm not going to take the time to do it. So
Okay.
just get the treble clef version and learn how to transpose.
I thought you were plugging 2 things. It turns out you're just teasing. Dan.
Yeah.
You released some music.
I did.
Oh,
thank you for bringing that up. Greg also released some music, but last week,
Greg talked about that.
Greg released a song,
Yes.
and I wanted to do better than him, so I released 2 songs.
Which is why I'm now going to release a song next to outdo Dan's 2 songs.
That's right.
Mine will just be one long song that is longer than Dan's 2 songs.
More
combined.
value, right?
Yeah,
for the last 2 years, I have been toiling away on an original music project because I'm not good enough to write songs. I don't know what I'm doing. I can't read music, blah, blah, blah. But I had these nagging ideas that wouldn't go away. And for a while, I confided in Greg about them because Greg was sort of like giving me desk side guitar lessons. And I pulled a left turn on him. And I'm like, I need you to explain these concepts. He's like, hold it. Like, you don't know anything. We have to pull back from those concepts. Before you even start where you're starting in this book, you need to pull back and let's talk about this stuff. And that was very helpful. It helped me focus. So 2019, my resolution was, it's time to do this or not do this. Like, I'm going to try. I'm very scared, but I'm going to face it, and I'm going to give myself time. By the end of the year, I want to have like 5 songs that I could do as an EP at the beginning of 2020. And then by some miracle, after 3 months of slogging through, in April, it just started to click. And so I've been working on stuff throughout. And so the first 2 songs are out. I decided not to do an EP because a friend told me the album is dead. And the only way to do it is to put out a new song every couple of weeks.
That's what we...
I have 5 songs done, and they're ready to go. And I have a few more in the works. So I'm just going to do one every 3-4 weeks, I think.
That sounds good.
So it's danamrick.bandcamp.com. Or if you want to go to the main thing, I got herofalls.com. That's the name of the concept
project.
is that there's a city where superheroes exist, and there's all kinds of reasons for that may eventually come out as part of the storytelling thing. But all the songs are little character vignettes, moments in time in the history of the city where superheroes and supervillains exist.
Hero Falls, 1 word or 2?
Well, it's 2 words, but the URL is 1.
Yeah. But if you were going to search for,
just search for Hero Falls Dan Amrich. There's not that much out there because it just launched on Tuesday, but I am on Spotify, Deezer, Amazon, iTunes, Google Play, all the things. The social media interns that run the Fictional Cities Twitter account are at hero_falls on Twitter because that was taken. And also on Instagram that way too. So.
All right. Well, thank you both.
No, thank you. That was a bold plug, and I appreciate you doing
Bold plug in for you.
it. Yeah.
All right. We are going to give away our final Ernie Ball prize pack.
final
of
one?
The day, of the day. A lot of finals. I'm done with the day. Everything's final. We're shutting it down. We're
Amen.
Just stopping it. After this giveaway. So please listen to UB Jurassic in the chat for your chance to win this Ernie Ball prize pack that you now see on your screen. If you enter and win, you will receive everything that you see on your screen. 2 sets of strings, 1 6-string set for your guitar, 1 4-string set for your bass, both in regular Slinky gauges. You're also going to receive a dozen picks from Ernie Ball. You're going to receive 3 Plectrum picks from us here at Rocksmith here in San Francisco. You're going to receive a black Ernie Ball guitar strap. You're going to get a package of Ernie Ball Wonder Wipes and a peg winder from Ernie Ball. All of that can be yours if you enter and win. If you win, you're going to get a whisper from UB Jurassic. That once more is Brian Turner. He is the community manager for Rocksmith currently in North Carolina. He will get your information from you, send it on my way. And again, if you are outside of the U.S., please split up your address line by line to help me with the formatting. It makes it easier for you to get your stuff, and I feel like that's not too much of an ask for this. Thank you again for joining us. Next week we're going to have another stream on Thursday. What are we going to stream? Well, I don't know yet. We'll figure it out. But if you want to take a look at, if you want to see what might be coming, we want to see what's coming next week for a preview. Head to the forums tomorrow morning. It is rocksmith.com. There's a link to the forums there, and then under the DLC section, every Friday morning, almost every Friday morning, we have a clue from one of the community members, Rolling Stone 222, that we post. That will be posted by UB Jurassic probably at 10 a.m. Eastern time. Which is 7 a.m. here on the West Coast Pacific time. So look for that clue there to see what's coming next week. Again, we'll be here on Thursday. Want to thank all of our guests today. Want to thank you for joining us. And we're going to take one more look at the John Mellencamp song pack, and we'll see you next week.
Jacks his back, collects his thoughts for the moment, scratches his head and does his best James Dean. Well then there Diane gotta run off to city. Diane says, baby, you ain't missing nothing. Jack say, oh yeah.